Hi again, everybody. I'm Mike Miles. Welcome to the final edition of Mastodon Spotlight for the 2003-2004 school year. We're brought to you in part by our very good friends over at Ryan's Steakhouse, located on North Clinton Street across from Scott's Foods. Well, as I said, it's our final telecast of this school year, which actually ended several weeks ago, but we were fortunate enough to bring you some highlights of some of the shows that we thought were important and exciting. On this final show of the season, we have two interviews on tap. The first one, we actually are borrowing from our good friends over at the Arnie Ball Show, a conversation that host Mark Franke had with the two seniors from men's volleyball team, Dustin Sherman from Northside High School and Isaac White from Gambier, Ohio. And that'll be coming up momentarily. And then following a break from that, it's a senior retrospective that we did and showed on the Doug Noll Show earlier this year. There were two seniors on the men's basketball team, Jim Kesnick from Pewaukee, Wisconsin, and Keon Henderson from Gary, Indiana. So first up following the break will be the volleyball interview with the seniors on the volleyball team, and then after that we'll have the basketball interview with the two seniors from the basketball team, and then following that I'll come back with some final comments. So please stay tuned. Mastodon Spotlight continues in just a moment.
Welcome back to the Arnie Ball Show. Our guests this week are seniors Dusty Sherman and Isaac White. And we could talk about volleyball, but we set the standard in the first segment to not bring up volleyball once during those 8 minutes. So we're going to start, first of all, by finding out, did you guys go fishing on Sunday?
Yeah.
Up in Kendallville?
Yeah, up there with the bus driver.
Yep.
Cool guy. Yeah. Me and Mitch and Mike Randolph went up there, and guys got 9 boats to choose from. And it's a pretty good sized lake, and we just went in, paddled around on it, and didn't really catch anything. Mitch hooked a big one, but he forgot to set the hook, and so
sounds like
that got away. But yeah, but we're going back there a bunch of times. It's kind of early. The water's kind of cold, so we gotta
It's kind of
take advantage
interesting.
of that.
We're stopping we're at Penn State, and we stop for lunch. Most of the players go to the restaurant to eat. A couple of you guys head off to the Walmart sporting goods department, and Mitch ended up buying a new rod, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, we've all got our priorities. You know, some people eat, some people go to the sporting goods section. So we know where to send that meal money.
That's right. In the first segment, it's turned into the Tell Stories About Coach Johnson segment.
Oh, okay.
So would you guys like to jump in on that? Do you have a favorite Denny Johnson story you'd like to tell us about?
I think the one that you guys already talked about from last night was probably the best. Between that and his erratic driving habits, those are the two best ones.
He's a maniac in Puerto Rico.
He's a maniac wherever he goes.
It's awesome.
Did you ride with him?
Oh, yeah. And California, occasionally. I know you guys didn't give him any driving privileges out there. But
I got too many.
It's great. It's like being on a roller coaster. Loved it.
You liked it?
Well, you know.
Hey, whenever your life's in danger, that's when you're having fun. Between that and the absolutely horrible, crappy country music he blares as loud as he can just to make me mad. Oh.
You don't like his music?
I like country.
He does. I don't.
I like country.
It's all this
big fan.
beer
big fan
and
of country.
Taliban and all this other little stuff he likes.
It's the story of his life, probably. Beer and Taliban. You guys are seniors. You're going into your last couple of weeks of your careers here. This Saturday night, we start off with Lewis. And since I was not able to get Arnie to talk about the Lewis match, maybe you two want to maybe tell the people at At home, what we're looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to them screwing up. No, I just want I want us to play good. Hopefully, I mean they're gonna come in here and play hard. They're the defending national champions, and we beat them twice already, so they have all the reason to come in and play well. So I'm just hoping they don't.
Well, I'm just glad we got home court advantage. That's when they came over here, we just thumped them and sent them home, and hopefully we do the same thing. I mean, they're a pretty weak team. They've got a lot of weaknesses, and that we can take advantage of, and I think we'll do that. I'm not real concerned about us winning as long as we play our game and play like we've been lately. So,
what strengths do we have that you feel will be the most useful against their weaknesses?
Well, they have a really hard time blocking on the pins on the outsides, and so that's our most effective offense. Is either Maddie on the right side or our outsides. Our middles have been struggling, and actually they've been coming around a little better in these last couple of games. But that's where we can really take advantage of them, and their passing, and besides the libero, their passing struggles a lot, and that's what has kept us beating them this season. I mean, just keeping on certain individuals, and whoever is the coaches decide that is doing the worst job, and the guys have done that, and that's what's really made us effective playing against them, I think.
One of our strengths has been serving, which has helped set up our blocking, which has been strong, although lately it's not produced quite the results it was earlier in the season.
Right.
But that's still a strength, and in fact in '99 when they were ranked #1 in the country, they came in here and we basically served them off the floor. And Coach Doiser says he's never seen a serving exhibition like that. So Dusty, you get into the match usually late in each game to serve. What goes through your mind when you're on the bench and all of a sudden Coach Johnson says you're going in to serve?
Not too much, other than, God, I better be ready to sub in on time, because he doesn't always really let you know ahead of time. It's just kind of like, I go, you got to run and hope it's the right person you're subbing in for. So not much, just go in there and serve. Maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe you should be thinking, but.
Well, it's interesting. It doesn't let you know very far in advance, because I know for a fact he gets advance warning at least 2 rotations before you're supposed to go in.
Sometimes he'll be like, all right, you're going in, he'll come back and tell me, and other times he just sits there and like the person's getting ready to serve already, and then he starts screaming at me because I'm not in there on time. I'm like, okay, I'll hurry up. But he's been doing it a lot better, but I think it's just a little funny. Although he doesn't, like I said, he doesn't always know if you're going in for the right person, like Mercyhurst or where was it, Penn State, when he tried to put Jared in, and then
Jared's over in the corner stretching, which you think that's pretty smart, right? To make sure you're loose, ready to go. He knows we're at point 20 and he's liable to be called in. And
then he tried to sub him in for the wrong person.
Yeah.
And then he yanked on his neck collar and brought him back and lifted him up about 6 inches off the ground. That was always I didn't know he was that strong, actually. Yeah.
Well, that wasn't against Mercer. That was a couple of weeks ago, right?
No, it was this trip.
Yeah.
It was either Penn State or.
It happens all the time.
It happens.
It does really. I don't know.
Yeah, I love Johnson.
I believe that was Penn State, actually. Yeah, but he's not always letting you know exactly when you're going in, so you don't really have time to think. You just go in.
That's the plan.
Yeah, it is. Keep you off your guard.
That's right.
You don't have time to think.
Don't worry about
it. Screw up.
Can't ice the free throw shooter, so to speak, that way, right?
Exactly.
Isaac, you started on the left side, especially you played up in Winnipeg that way and early in the season until our freshman came around. Then you moved to libero, and now you're back in a serving specialist role again. So you're facing a lot of what Dusty was just talking about.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. I mean, it's especially by our senior year, we're so used to serving that it's not that awkward to come in off the bench. I remember my freshman year, though, when they wanted you to do that, and it was so nerve-wracking to come in there. But I don't know, I guess you just get used to it after 4 years. So
you're comfortable with that role? You're looking forward to it?
Yeah. I mean, it's always nice to get on the court, but, I'll take all the time I can get.
Well, frequently you come in at a very important time because we're close to the end of that particular set, and quite often the score's tight, and so we need a good serve. We can't take an error. We need a good serve that disrupts their offense. We need a good defensive play because you guys typically will stay in, Dusty especially. So you come in at a point where one single play can make a big difference in that set.
And that's what Johnson actually has named us the 20-point club, because we don't even act anything. We don't even get ready until somebody hits 20 points. So, you know, we know when 20 points comes, their jackets come off, and we got to start eyeing him because he won't remember, like I said. So us on the 20-point club, we got to always be ready when it's from 20 points on.
I tried to convince him to send the serving sub in once. It was 18 or 19 points, but I thought the way things were going, we wouldn't get back around. And he argued with me. He's not an easy one to convince of nearly anything, but especially in the middle of a match. And the player I wanted him to sub for, sure enough, hit it right in the net. So I didn't say anything. I just kept my mouth shut.
Just chalk one up for you, saying you're right.
The other thing I want to know about you guys, what are all these dances you do there in the end of the bench every time we get a block? What is that all about?
I don't know
You
who
gotta support your
started
team.
that.
I don't know either.
It was, I don't know, it must have been, I think it was Nick Bellman who started up a lot of this stuff.
Me,
And
Nick,
I don't
and
know
Mitch.
if that came from high school cheerleading or what. But sometimes there's some good stuff, some funny stuff that comes out of there. But most of the time, yeah, what did you call it before we got on here? What did you call that?
That wasn't my term.
What was the term? No, come on, we can say it.
It's a new term, metrosexual.
Metrosexual. What is that again?
I have no idea what it means.
Okay,
Being
well, so
secured up
we're
with the-
comfortable being retarded at the end of the bench.
Well, basically, all come from when, like, a couple years ago, when we were really, really struggling, and we would have the points where our team, who were on the floor, would just like didn't act like they even want to be on the floor, and it's kind of hard to stand at the end of the bench, just going, whatever. They don't even want to play, so we kind of make up our own ways of having fun and try to motivate them. And Coach liked it, so we just acted stupid, and we had fun doing it. So it was more fun being on the bench than it was being on the floor at the time.
And somehow, usually, it brought everybody back around on the court, and
One way or the other.
one way or another.
Just when you thought the IPFW coaching staff was about as politically incorrect as possible, you now find out that our players are just like us. So
Hey, we learned from the best.
Seriously.
it's redneck volleyball all the way, isn't it? Fishing, NASCAR, and dances
beer.
on the end of the. Yeah. You didn't say it. When we come back, Arnie will join me, and I will do my best to get him to talk about this weekend. So please stay with us.
Oh, that wasn't too easy, was it?
My coach in high school, whose name is Bobby Miles, had met Coach Knoll at the Final Four, and I believe that year was in San Antonio, Texas. And they began to talk about me. Obviously, my high school coach was looking for a place for me to go out of college. Coach Knoll had also looked in the recruiting book and saw that I was being recruited by some pretty good Division II schools that are in the Great Lakes Valley Conference and some who are not. So those two coaches, my high school coach and Coach Knoll, got together. Coach Knoll offered me to come down for a visit. Coach Miles drove me down to Fort Wayne, and I was wondering, I had expectations on what type of city this was. And immediately when we got into Fort Wayne, we got lost. And saw somebody at the gas station and asked that person how to get to IPFW. And instead of that person giving us directions, that person drove us all the way to the Gate Center. So that gave me a good impression on what type of city this was.
The reason I came to IPFW was, first of all, the academics. I mean, there were a bunch of schools that were talking to me, and the one thing that IPFW had that they didn't have was engineering, and I didn't know what kind of engineering I wanted to get into, but I knew it was engineering I wanted to do. And that was the one reason overall of the other schools that I visited to come to IPFW. And the second reason was when I came here, it was spring break, I believe, and Keon actually and Brad were the only athletes here that I got to meet. But when I got here, it was as if I had been with them for a whole year or so. I mean, the way they talked to me and showed me the campus and stuff like that. I mean, it was real. It was a real friendly experience, and I felt as though I really liked that, and this was a place for me.
Both of them really, I think, represent not only a basketball program, but IPFW in the way you want student athletes to represent yourself. Both of them did a tremendous job in the classroom. Jim, of course, carries around a 3.6 in architectural engineering. Both he and Keon already had jobs. Jim had a time a year ago where they did a human interest story on him as a chef. He knows how to cook very well, and that he was an engineering student, and about a week later somebody emailed him and said, I own an engineering company and design commercial kitchens, you know, would you come and work for me? So he got a job that way and traveled a little bit doing some projects. Keon obviously is a pastor of his own church, so I think it's so unique that we have two individuals that brought so much to the table for IPFW, not just in basketball, but in life and in what their goals are, to have jobs and to just interject themselves in the community at IPFW, and we were really proud of both of them. Keon Henderson became a Mastodon in 1999 after he graduated from East Chicago Central High School in Gary, Indiana. Through really a recruiting service, I ran across Keon's name and the fact that, you know, he was from East Chicago Central, had a pretty good high school career, that I made a phone call to his coach and then also to Keon to set up a visit. He visited, and I think he liked what he saw, and he really felt strongly about IPFW and about his degree and everything that was pulling him here. Jim is a pretty skilled big man, although he's more of a perimeter than an interior type player. And so in the state tournament, I went up to watch Jim play. And he got in foul trouble, but what I saw was some innate skills that Jim had that a lot of big kids didn't have. When he ran the floor hard, he could run fairly fast, and he could shoot the ball facing up to the basket rather than just playing with his back to the basket. And this was all being 6'10".
When I graduated high school, I was about 6 feet 2 inches and 180 pounds. So I believe at that time I had rough but not polished, rough Division I skills, but my physique and my physiology wouldn't have allowed me to play Division I right out of high school. But I was assured through reputations and talk that the Great Lakes Valley Conference was just as tough as a Division I conference. So coming here, I didn't feel as if I was being cheated because I didn't go Division I out of high school. I came with the expectation that this is a competitive conference and it'll be just like playing Division I every night. You know, with schools like USI and Kentucky Wesleyan and Northern Kentucky, those people have just as many fans and just as tough a schedule as anybody else. Coach Noel did, after my freshman year, talk to me about the opportunity and the possibility of IPFW going Division I. And of course I was excited about that because my childhood dream was always to play Division I basketball. So from that point when he had mentioned it to us until my last game, March 1st, I really made myself into a Division I player. I lifted weights harder. I shot more shots before and after practice than I ever have. I was a student of the game. I began to watch film, began to listen to Coach Noel and Coach Pachode and Coach Andrews, and at that time, Coach Levingston, after he had come, listened to them extensively because I knew that they had knowledge and wisdom beyond my years. So I didn't come in as a Division I player, but I think I definitely did make myself into one as a result of the teachings of our coach. And I think it was the best thing we could have done. I think it's the best thing this university could have done, was to go Division I.
When we were Division II, there was the difference between Division II and Division I and the teams that were here. The talent, definitely. I mean, there was talent here, Division II, but when we went to Division I, which was another reason why I think we were equal after a while, is we were able to recruit a lot more talent than in Division II. As far as money-wise goes, the school got more scholarships and stuff like that, but talent-wise, there was a big jump as far as the players. And instead of having one or two go-to players, I mean, everybody on the team was in a position where they could have played at any time during the game and produced.
Through that transition, they had to become Division I players, and they did that by their work ethic. They did that by their basketball work ethic, but also their work ethic in the weight room. Through the summers, we didn't take off many summers. They had to stay the last 2 or 3 years, had to stay the full summer, get a summer job, or fill in with a class here or there, either in the May term or July term, and then work out with our team. So I think that really benefited them a lot. And then as they developed, they just kept getting more confidence. Once their physical development came, then their mental development came as, yes, we are Division I players. And I think we saw that in Jim's junior year with the great year that he had, and I think we saw that in Keon's senior year with that type of year. And it is gratifying to see both of these kids, Jim and Keon, go from Division II players that have a long ways to go up into Division I players that can score 20, 29 or 34 points in a game like Jim did, or 19 and 23 in Division I games like Keon did.
My major here at the university is interpersonal communication, and my minor is in organizational leadership. I didn't know when I applied for those majors and minor, I had no idea, and that's the honest truth, that it would be as helpful to me as it is now. When I was looking for a major and I applied to the communications department, I kind of thought to myself that I was taking an easy way out. I was on this thing where, pick the most difficult major possible, so it seems like you're smart and it seems like you want to do something with your life. But I found out quickly that you don't find anything that's too difficult for you. You find things that are going to help you in your life. And if there's one thing I do passionately, it's communicating with people, and it's organizing, leading, and supervising.
My major is architectural engineering, and started out in mechanical engineering my freshman year and went through a full year of classes. Decided that wasn't really what I wanted to do. I came into college knowing that I wanted to design residentially or commercially, just buildings or houses or whatever.
Both of them, Jim and Keon, were co-captains. And you want your seniors to be the captains, the leaders of the team. It's difficult sometimes because, everybody wants to be liked and everybody wants to be friends. And sometimes a captain has to stick his neck out and not be popular. And you have to take those hard line situations and decisions and let guys know when they're not working hard, let guys know when they're not doing what they need to be doing.
Last year, I think, was my year to shine, and the end of this year. And I mean, it was nice to be in that position, to be a person that your whole team looked for scoring and looked for leadership from.
If I had to surmise and say the high point that I experienced as a Division I player, it would be very difficult to single out one. I have many, playing at the Breslin Center against Michigan State with Tom Izzo, playing in Chrysler Arena where so many great players such as the Fabulous Five, Chris Webber, and guys of that nature have played. Playing in the pit in Mexico in front of almost 18,000 people. So many high points over the years. But I believe my highest point was this year in its entirety, being able to finish a year without injury, without so many setbacks, and to have the culmination of it to come together on March 1st, even though it was emotional. I don't know anything that could have got me higher or happier than being able to complete something that I finished. So my high point as a Division I basketball player was the entire 2003-2004 season.
Both of them, Jim and Keon, were co-captains. And you know, you want your seniors to be the captains, the leaders of the team. Both Jim and Keon are going to go out into the world and be ready to face, you know, the good times and the bad times, because they've been a part of a team. They've had to give of themselves. They weren't always the focal point, but they learned a lot of life lessons through this, and it makes me proud. It makes our coaching staff proud, and it should make IPFW proud that, you know, we didn't win many games this year. We had a lot of close games, and it's unfortunate for both these guys. But in the end, I think IPFW can be very proud of the products that we are putting out.
I'd just like to thank my teammates for everything they've done for me and all the relationships that I've grown, that have grown with them. It's been amazing, my 4 years here, as far as friendships go, and I don't know what I'd do without them, definitely. You know, I'd like to thank coaches.
Coach Noah asked me a few weeks ago, before the season was over, that I have any regrets about coming to IPFW, to Fort Wayne. We've had some tough times here, record-wise. The program is growing, and it can go nowhere but up. And there was one thing that I could say that I wanted people to remember, is that I've appreciated every moment that I've had an opportunity to be a part of IPFW and its athletic department. To represent this team was an honor to me. To play with Coach Noah was an honor to me.
Welcome back to Mastodon Spotlight for the final time this season. I've got 2 minutes to say a lot of thank yous. First and foremost, Bernie Lohmiller, director here at Channel 56, giving me the opportunity for the last 6 years to talk to you about IPFW athletics. John Youst behind the scenes. Without John, this show would never get on the air. I want to thank John, Jeremy Kloppenstein, Steve Keeble, Brent Whirling, all helping behind the scenes to make this show possible. Ryan Steakhouse, our sponsor. Thank Dave Kennedy and his staff for helping to support IPFW athletics here on Channel 56. And finally, thank you, the viewer, for tuning in to see what's going on with IPFW athletics. We're going to take a break for about 6 weeks and then start season number 6 of Mastodon Spotlight in its present form. And we're excited about that. We invite you to come back in the middle of August for year number 6 of Mastodon Spotlight. And at that time, hopefully we may have some news about some possible other shows as well. But time's up. So for everyone here at Channel 56, for Ryan Steakhouse, this is Mike Maas saying, have a great summer. We'll see you in August. Go Dons.